Laura, I'm really happy to have Laura Lenington. First of all, I'm John Lee. You may know me from some of the groups we're in. You may not. And if you're in one of the new groups I'm in, I welcome you because we did invite some new people. Um, and we just wanted to kind of show you what we do and kind of give you an idea. Laura here is, she's a master wholesaler. I know she didn't like that when I called her that last year, but this is really what she is. She solves problems, and anybody that's been around for a while knows if you solve problems, you're going to do good because she comes from the heart. That's why we're calling tonight's broadcast Wholesaling from the Heart. It's kind of, I asked Laura a couple of weeks ago when we first talked about doing this. I said, just give me one, I think it was one sentence. I said that, just give me one sentence of what you're going to talk about. And I don't have it exactly, but it was something like problems or challenges are at the heart of every wholesale transaction. And I think you said that's a good thing or something like that. And so I said, well, wait a minute, that's exactly what she does, is she's a wholesaler from the heart. And I've known Laura for a few years. We've done some deals together. I consider her a good friend and a business partner because she does things the right way. I've seen her cut her money down to nothing. Now when you go to do a deal with her, don't take that from face value that you want to try to beat her up on anything, but she is really a good heart-centered person. And that's one thing that one reason we wanted to have her. We're not here to sell you anything tonight. I do want to tell you though, if you, I did tell you I'm going to give you some free gifts, which I'm going to do. Some of you may already have this, but just for showing up tonight, in fact, put it in the chat if you want this. I'll give you a copy of my book, Secrets to Winning with Fred. I call it Failed Real Estate Deals. And this is a book I wrote a while back to give away, kind of shows you what's involved with things. If you want a paper copy, you'll have to go buy it. And I'm sorry, I can't do nothing about that right now. But if a digital copy, just put in the chat, yes, please send me one. If you've already have it, put in there, I have it. And I've got something else that I will send you to. And I got some other stuff for you towards the end. But Laura would like for you also, if you do have anything that you'd like to say, go ahead and put your questions in the chat because we do want to make this interactive, and that way we'll just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. So if with Laura, that's what I have to say. So there you go. Please enlighten us tonight.
Oh gosh, thank you, John, so much for having me on. John, I just got to echo back to you that I just love the relationship that we have. We have done some skinny deals, and it's been a pleasure doing those with you. And yes, they're not all skinny, so everybody don't worry about that. No, John, you're an awesome partner as well. And John, what I've learned from you was a lot about my mindset when I first started. And the mindset that's really gotten me to where I am today is that you can solve problems in 100 different ways for people, right? And just, I don't necessarily mimic what John does, but I took that mindset that he had and I applied it to the things that were coming across my desk. So John, I am forever grateful to you, for every knowledge that you've shared over the years, and I'm glad to be here tonight. So good to see everybody. Again, my name is Laura. So I'm a St. Louis area real estate investor. I spend the majority of my time doing what I just described as wholesale deals, but I do have a small rental portfolio. I have done a fix and flip, plan to do more. But gosh, once I started wholesaling, which was never what I intended to do. In fact, I didn't even know what wholesaling was until after I quit my full-time job, after I bought a rental, after I rehabbed my first house. I was a beginner real estate investor, didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. And I was just going to, meetups, real estate clubs, and trying to learn, trying to meet people. And I started getting exposed to this concept of wholesaling. I didn't understand it first, quickly kind of understood it. And I just immediately said, that's not for me. I get it. It must be lucrative, or it must, people must do it. But it just felt so salesy to me. And I just kind of wanted to be out of the interaction of people type of business. I just sort of wanted to rehab and just be in my own little world because I had just gotten out of a regular full-time 9 to 5. I worked for the Department of Defense, and I just really just wanted to be like a little flower child that rehabbed houses and didn't have to really talk to people. And also, like, I didn't wholesaling sounded a little snaky to me, to be honest. At first, I was like, I didn't, okay, whatever. Like, no judgment against those who do it, but it wasn't for me. And so basically, over the months, I'm like, okay, well, I got to start making more money in real estate. Like, I made much more money in my last job, and I'm quit that to make even more. So, when you get into those situations, your mind will expand, your vision will open, you'll start considering things. And I started listening to this wholesale stuff more. And I remember I was having a conversation with a guy who, quite frankly, has a mixed reputation these days. But he said something that really, like, it was one of those things that really changed my mind. And he was saying something about wholesaling. I said, I'm not a wholesaler, I'm a rehabber. And he looked at me and he's like, any good investor should be a wholesaler. Like, you should have that tool in your tool belt all the time. Like, he kind of looked at me like, what are you thinking? And it hit me like, yeah, what if I had 3 rehabs going and I only wanted to do 3 and I got a good deal? What would I do with that? Just let it go? Like, no, I would do this. This makes business sense. So I started looking at it, and once I figured out how exhilarating it is to help people in these situations that you find them in as a wholesaler, when you begin marketing, you start talking to all sorts of people with all sorts of challenges with real estate. And when I realized like how much fun it is and how rewarding it is, not just financially, but rewarding like spiritually, right? To just like help another human and help them in a way that just like 99% of the population doesn't have answers for. That's when I got hooked. So that's where I am today, in a nutshell. And so, like I said, what I do, I'm still full-time, and I spend the majority of my hours working on deals where I never buy and hold the property. I might help in any number of ways, and I can go over some of those. But at this point, that's who I am. I know a lot of you guys on here already. Can anybody kind of put in a chat box, sort of, is anybody brand new? Has anybody done a lot of deals? I'm kind of curious, what kind of a mix we have on here. If anybody's got any questions, you can add those in at any time. Okay, so we've got a landlord. And so is it Lois or Lewis, but I think it's Lois. Have you ever wholesaled anything, or have you only bought and held? Like, what's, okay, newbie, okay, Dwayne said he's a newbie, but only buy, fix, and hold, okay, from Lois, okay. So, and then we've got Carlos said mostly land investing, looked into wholesaling, haven't done it yet, okay, got it. Great. Okay, and so the comments will keep coming in. So like, again, I'll just reiterate that for those of you who just wouldn't consider yourself a wholesaler, I get it. Laurel said new to real estate, came into it to wholesale, but haven't done anything yet. Okay, great. If you consider yourself just a strictly buy and hold person or strictly a rehabber, like, let me just reiterate what that person said to me several years ago. It's like, okay, so you're doing marketing for something, right? You're coming across your rehab deals or your buy and hold deals in some way, shape, or form. And what if you come across something that just doesn't fit your portfolio, or it just doesn't fit, the timing's not right, or whatever? You still have an opportunity to make some sort of money, to help another investor, and to, what I think is most importantly and most awesome, help a seller that might be in distress. Shoot, even if you referred it to a wholesaler for a fee, you could make a little bit of money, do even less work, and still help the person out. So let's get open-minded to this if we're not already, which I'm sure most of you are. And think of yourself as someone that could do this, because like I said, it's very rewarding, and you wouldn't be leaving money on the table if you get a lead that you can't otherwise take down. So okay, so I know we have at least one new person here. So I'm going to just quickly describe like traditional wholesaling. Like, if you were to get on the internet and research, the majority of wholesale deals are closed one of 2 ways, in my opinion. Okay. And I'm not an expert, and I don't sell classes, and I don't coach, and I don't have all the right words. I'm just a person. So hopefully I get this right and people can jump in and correct me. It won't hurt my feelings. You can, number one, put a property under contract, which is what you would basically do in any type of traditional wholesale deal. You put a property under contract to buy, and then you either take that contract, and I call it the A-B contract. It's like letter A and letter B. And you either assign that to another investor buyer for a fee, and that assignment fee is what you take as the wholesaler. Or you can assign the contract, or you can put another contract in place, a BC contract with another investor buyer, and double close it. So in a double closing, it's kind of like you take title to the property for 30 seconds or whatever. You know, you never really owned it. You bought it, you sold it in the same day in 2 different transactions. Or you can assign it for a fee. So there's different reasons why you would do it different ways. And we can go down that rabbit hole if we'd like, if someone wants to, and if not, that's fine. But also as a wholesaler, what I find myself doing is a lot of joint venture agreements. So this is something people should think about doing, okay? Especially if you're like new or you want to focus on wholesaling and you're not getting a lot of your own leads, but maybe you're really good at finding buyers, or maybe you have a specific buyer. But what you can do is, if you know another investor, another wholesaler, or maybe a buy and hold person that's got a problem property, you can offer your marketing services or your connections or whatever, and just put like a joint venture agreement in place is what we call it. And it just basically says like, hey, here's the address. I'm helping you as a business partner. And if I find, for example, if I find a buyer for your property, you're going to pay me $2,000 at closing, $5,000 at closing, whatever the agreement is. And so then you've got a legal right to go out. It's kind of like a paperwork that gives you the legal right to go out and market that property. Whereas if you didn't have a JV, that contract would be your instrument in that way. So I do a lot of joint venture agreements with other investors and other wholesalers because I bring a lot to the table. I bring a huge buyers list. I just bring a lot of experience and stuff like that. So that's something to keep in mind. I know someone said yes, please. I think that may have been in response to the rabbit hole of when you would do a double close versus an assignment. So we can definitely hit that. So yeah, if you're wholesaling, it depends. Wholesaling, you got to be a people person. You don't have to, and it helps you if you're a good people person. Okay, you got to understand personalities. You got to understand your own personality first of all. Really, not what you want it to be, but what it is. Okay. So understand your own personality and who you really are and how you really tick. Understand, what you need to check and leave at the gate and what you bring with you and all that good stuff. And understand other people and understand that as a middle person, as a middleman or a middlewoman, you've got to juggle some balls and you've got to keep folks happy to get everything to the finish line. Okay. So a double close would be something that you would want to do if you were basically trying to not let everybody, especially your end buyer, in on all the details of your agreement with your property seller, right? So if I've got a contract for a house for $50,000 and I find someone to purchase that same deal and they're willing to pay $65,000 for the house, like, let's say I don't know this person, right? So I'm standing to make $15,000. And this has happened to me. Where you're about to, not these exact numbers, but where you're about to make a pretty good fee, like, here. And so what you would want to do is you would have your contract with your seller, and then you would make a separate contract between you and your buyer. And what happens is the title company takes all of that information and they keep it blind to the parties. So the people that see the information, your seller sees their information with you and your buyer sees their information with you, but they don't see the original beginning and ending numbers. And it just basically, it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And then basically what you make out of the deal isn't public knowledge until it's all kind of made public knowledge on public record. And then if people really care, they can yell at you then, but it's never happened to me. But in any case, so you might want to do that if you don't know who you're dealing with, if you're making a substantial fee and you just want to protect that information, or for whatever reason. Now, if you're not making as substantial as a fee, or if you truly trust your buyer, which is the best case scenario, and they don't care what you make, you wouldn't want to pay a title company for a double close. What you would want to do is you would want to, you could assign that contract for the fee. You're not paying any closing costs. You're not a buyer. You're not a seller. You were just the person who assigned the contract for the fee. And someone's asked, David is asking, what fee do you want to double close versus selling the contract? So I think what he's asking is sort of like, where would the line be, like for my wholesaling fee, like kind of where do I draw that line? And it comes down less from numbers than it does. Let's see, how do I put this? I gauge that more on personality than I do numbers. I have double closed transactions where I make $4 or $5 grand, just because I can just tell the people are going to give me a hard, I can just tell that someone's going to give me a hard time. I don't need the stress of double closing it, or I just don't know these people or whatever. I do that less now. I roll the dice a lot more because honestly, I'm doing better. So I just want to keep things simple, and I don't need things to happen as much as I used to need things to happen. But a lot of people will like kind of use like a $10,000 rule. If they're going to make 10,000 or less, they'll assign it. 10,000 or more, and they'll double close it. But again, for me, it just feels like I just base it more on the players in the game than the number. I know there are people that assign things, big deals, package deals, apartment complexes for 100 grand on an assignment. I mean, there's really no hard and fast rule. But and then Carlos asked a great question. When we're double closing, where does the money come from, right? Because I have a contract with the seller to buy this house for 50. So, and then someone's got a contract to buy it for me for 65. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a title company that will facilitate what's called a dry funded double close. So there's tons of them that do them. What you would want to do is just call around and find and make sure that whoever you're going to use does it. If they don't, call around. Dry funded double close. What that means is my end buyer's money is going to get floated through the transaction all the way up to the seller. And my money does not have to come into play, okay? So that 65 grand is gonna, and when I set these up at a title company, this is how I do it. My BC contract closes first. They come in and sign and they bring in that darn money. And I have my AB contract scheduled to close like later in the afternoon, because I want them, when they come in and sign, I want them to walk out with that check. But in order to do that, I need to get the check from my end buyer first. So as long as the title company will do that, which again, many of them will do that for you. You want to do a dry funded double close, use your end buyer's money, you get to walk out as a wholesaler with a check for you, and you never had to bring your own money in unless you made an earnest money deposit. So I hope that answered that question, Carlos. And assignments are great. I love assignments because they're so easy. They're so clean, and you kind of get your like nice round number on your check. And I don't know, but it's not worth losing, you know, it's not worth taking a smaller spread to get. So, but on an assignment, you have that contract with the seller for $50,000. And then I've got this great person that's purchased houses for me before, and I know they're going to purchase in the future. And I know that they get investing, and they get that I bust my butt to get these leads. And they understand that if I hit a home run, I deserve my money. And I just trust them. And I can give them an assignment agreement. It's just a one-pager piece of paper is what I use. And it just basically says to them that you get to take over my contract for $15,000. And I have them pay me at closing. I don't have them pay me prior. Some wholesalers do. I don't. Why? Be cool. That's what, I don't know. Because if the deal doesn't close, I don't need to have that money. I want everyone to be happy. So I take my assignment fee at closing. Do the sellers know that it got assigned? I don't think so. Maybe, but the thing is, my contract with them allows for that. Most of the time, I've never had it come up at a closing, so it's never been a problem. And like I said, so then the title company just closes that contract on one transaction. Again, my end buyer pays all the money. I still walk out with my check. My check just comes out as an assignment fee that got charged to the buyer's HUD. Whew. How we doing, guys? Everybody's following along? I've had so much caffeine today, so I kind of feel bad for you guys. Great questions. So that's traditional wholesaling. Now, like I said, I do other things too, right? And John and I, right before this call started, we were just talking about creative deals. And starting like last year, I started getting into wholesaling creative deals, such as subject to deals, if anybody's heard of that, or lease option, or excuse me, seller financing. And so basically, without going, and I'm no expert on any of them, trust me, I just know how to put people together and do paperwork, okay? But like basically these are deals where on a subject to deal, for instance, there's a mortgage on the house, and the seller, yes, this happens. The seller is willing to turn over title to the house to somebody else, and that person's responsible for paying the mortgage, but the mortgage stays in the seller's name. This is never ideal. This is never choice number one. This is for people who are trying to avoid worse circumstances like foreclosure or short sale or whatever is a worse circumstance to them. So that's number one. So, or a lease option would be where you have a lease from the seller. The investor would have a lease from the seller with an option to purchase later. So there's these creative deals. And so I've run into this stuff all the time as a wholesaler where my cash offer just isn't going to work for the seller. So, so what I do is I've been doing this business for 7 years and I know people, thank goodness. And I've known a lot of people almost the entire 7 years. So if you're new, start networking now. So I can call up people that I know and trust to do these creative deals. And I say, I got a fishy on the line, you know, I've talked to them and they're willing to look at this and they're willing to look at that. And let's look at this house and let's put some terms together. And Mr. In buyer or Mrs. In buyer, if you know, if we can get this deal put together for you, can you pay me a wholesale deal or a finder's fee or whatever? And we'll put this paperwork together for you. I've done several of those and I've got a couple now. So I know I can get into some of those, but I'm going to look at the chat. And Carlos is asking, is it possible to do this completely remotely without ever seeing properties and meeting sellers, buyers? It is. I just don't do it that way. I have nothing against it. I'm sure, and I say that I'm sure I've done something. I know I've wholesaled houses I've never looked at. I don't know if I've ever wholesaled anything where I literally never met the people. But anyway, virtual wholesaling is a thing and it's becoming a very popular thing. And I have nothing against it, but I'm sort of in it, in the business. When I started, I was just locally focused and I just still am for whatever reason. It's too easy to do it. I like getting in my car. I like being outside. I like meeting people and I do my best work face to face with people. I know that one of the secrets to my success is that people like me and they get a very good sense from me once they meet me in person. And I know that's one of my strengths. So I get out and I go on every appointment I can book, even when the numbers don't look good, because I turn them into creative deals, because I follow up for 6 months to a year, because I get paid later. I get paid because people like me, because when they turn, when things change and they actually can take my low cash offer, or when they can actually look at these creative deals, I'm going to be the person they're going to call because I came out and looked at the house. I sympathize and empathize with them, which is genuine. And then I politely and nicely followed up with them and made sure that they knew that I'm still here to help. So virtual wholesaling is not my game. I think it's really freaking cool. I like it. I get a lot of virtual wholesalers call on my marketing. And if you're into it, go for it. I'm just not your girl. I can't dig into that because I just don't do it. And to me, it's just like sitting at a desk again. And I really want to be out there in the weeds. So great question. And then Eric's asking, when doing a double close, can you use an attorney? You can use an attorney, I guess, for anything. I mean, I've closed with an attorney a few times, but I just go to a title company which has an attorney. I mean, I think they're all attorney-based businesses. I just go to, the title companies that I know and trust and like, and but you got to close with an attorney or a title company or somebody like that. Actually, that's not true. You can self-close. I actually work with buyers who do it. I just don't do it that way. So if I'm doing a traditional wholesale deal, an assignment or a double close, I've had people say to me that they just want to quit claim it. I just don't, if my name's on the contract, I just don't do it. We just do a title company. I don't want anyone to purchase something from me, quit claim, that hasn't been checked. I don't want to purchase anything that hasn't been run through a title search. So when I'm involved and my name's going on a contract for any amount of time like that on a traditional wholesale deal, I just don't do it that way. But I've put together a couple deals where the end buyer self-closes, and I just make sure that they're absolutely 1000% experienced and comfortable with it. And as long as I feel good about it, they can do what they want. And I've had great success with it because the people that do it, they know what they're doing, and it's few and far between. So good question, Eric. So let's go back to these creative deals. I've got a couple I'm working right now, and they're kind of interesting, and I'll just sort of give a couple examples just for anybody who might be interested. I don't know, and hopefully more questions will come in. But and this goes back to John and I were just talking about this. You know, we're here to solve problems and help people. And one of the really cool things I've learned more, and I've opened my mind to more in the past couple of years, is to make the offer, even if it just seems like it's not going to work for them. Because what I've learned is you never know. You just never know who's going to be the lifeline to say, I can do it under these terms, even if the terms just sound like they suck. You just never know. They may be totally doable for the other side, and they're grateful that someone's willing to partner or to do this for them. So I'll give you a couple of examples of deals I'm working right now where it's almost a head scratcher, but I'm here to tell you these people are in this deal and happy. So there's one, it's going to be a subject to wholesale deal. So I've got an investor buyer who's walked the property, knows what it's going to take to fix it up. The house has some foundation issues and water damage and this and that. It has a mortgage on it. The seller does not live there and lives now away in another state and literally works at least 6 or 7 days a week. He lived in the house. They got divorced. He got the house in the divorce. He moved away to work. His life is not here, and he pays the mortgage faithfully every month, right? He's not behind. He's not financially strapped, but he's over it as far as trying to either fix his house up, and he's tired of paying the mortgage and all of that, but he can't do a short sale because he's not financially in that situation. I guess he could, but he's not. And so we're like, well, if you want to do something creative, we'll do something creative with you. Now the numbers, when they all started getting looked into, because of all of the damage on the house and because of the amount owed, it would only make sense I'm partnered with someone on this, but for my investor buyer, to get it at a price, he wouldn't even take responsibility for the entire mortgage, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically he said, look, if this seller will bring $13,000 and let me take it over subject to, I can do it. And I just thought like, oh, this is over. You know, who's going to do subject to and bring this amount of cash? But you know, the house had been listed previously, and based on the numbers, you could tell he had cash to bring to closing. At least I could. So I thought, well, it's worth asking. And sure enough, we're going to close this in 2 weeks. The seller is going to bring the $13,000 cash. Like I said, it's going to an investor who's going to rehab it, and then the terms, if I can't remember exactly, but there's going to be, I believe, a balloon on it. So we're going to get this guy out of this mortgage eventually here. And I believe we're using trust and all that good stuff. It's a wild deal. And I'm telling you, he's not on board. The seller is all the way on board. He's extremely happy. And the thing is, real estate agents couldn't help him. Other investors who just know how to make a cash offer couldn't help him. And me and my partner, we've been working this deal since last August. So it hasn't been fast. It hasn't been easy. We don't work it every day. But we kind of didn't stop trying. So it's been a really interesting deal. I've got one more that just came up last week. We looked at it for the first time. And the sellers had gotten some cash offers. They had actually had an appointment with a real estate agent who I do know. And that agent didn't show up to the appointment, and which is unlike that person, but when they tried to reschedule, they were too busy to reschedule. So I have a feeling the agent saw the numbers and saw that it couldn't work and this and that. So, you know, we just said, well, let's get all of these numbers. You know, if you're interested in, you know, letting us make the mortgage payment while we have control of the house, maybe we can help you. And they just said, you know what, we've got family things, you know, we've got an elderly mother, we've got people that we're taking care of. They had gone into bankruptcy years ago and emerged from it, and they were keeping their credit extremely stable and good. They did not want to short sale. They're like, we've worked too hard. We have been down to the bottom. We've crawled back up. We've done everything we could. And to short sale this house now, we don't want to do it. You know, we want to find people we trust, and we want to see what we can work out creatively to keep this mortgage payment paid. So the mortgage payment was astronomical. It was like exactly what we would get in rent. So my partner, who I just love to do creative deals with, his name is Keith Winkler. He's like, well, let's, actually, I think the seller is the person who proposed this idea. They said, well, what if you make half the mortgage payment and we make half the mortgage payment? I mean, we didn't even, in fact, I know we didn't bring that up to them because we would never think of it, although it seems so basic, but they're willing to pay half the mortgage payment while we pay half the mortgage payment. Now, there's some risk there, okay? Are they gonna do their half or whatever? They're probably gonna bring some money to the closing table as well. So I guess what I'm getting at here is, moral of the story is, none of this stuff is easy or cookie cutter, but there's solutions for all kinds of people in all kinds of ways. And I make a lot of money doing traditional wholesale deals, but that is just not the only branch of my wholesale business. And I have learned to just know a lot of people in real estate. I've, you know, worked on relationships so that people trust me, and I've learned who I can trust. And then I just constantly am on this mission to figure out how to help someone with a real estate problem. And it's so exciting because I'm learning something new every single day. Sometimes it's exhausting, but it's usually exciting. And I'm helping people solve problems in ways that I never knew existed before, and everyone's making some money. So that's pretty awesome. And David asked, what type of marketing do you do to find leads? Direct mail, social media, cold calling? Great. So this has been one of my weak spots of my business for years, is my marketing. Like, I've been a big starter stopper. You know, I've sent out some mailers, maybe 1 or 2 rounds, and then I stop. And if anybody does any research on marketing, basically for any industry, but especially in real estate, you've got to touch prospective leads several times. The last number I saw for like real estate wholesaling was like 6. So on average, for every, I don't know if it's every lead that came in or every deal that was done, I think it's every lead that comes in, the average amount of touches, the average amount of cold calls or mailings or what have you, emails, is 6. So you got to try to get a hold of people 6 times on average to get a good qualified lead. So my point is this: when I didn't have a very good marketing strategy, all of that was very hot and cold. Okay. So what I've actually started, and I'm not at all promoting anything in particular, I'm just letting you know what I do, because believe me, I don't even make money from it anyway, but I've gotten excited about Deal Machine, okay? Deal Machine is an app on your phone, and I like to do what's called driving for dollars. I just love being out in my car driving, sunshine, dogs, kids, waving at people. So I like to be out there in the world. So I go out and I like to go driving for dollars. And what I do is I use this app called Deal Machine. And when I see a house that appears to maybe be vacant or need a lot of repairs, it just looks like a wholesale house. And I have a spidey sense for it. I'm very good at it. But when I find a house that looks like it'd be something I would wholesale, I can take a picture of it with this app. And the app will actually, I can push a button right there in my car outside that house, and a postcard will be put into the queue to send to the mailing address on the tax record for that property, okay? I love this so much because my marketing is so targeted, okay? I usually do about 20 leads in an hour. I think I do a good job of getting good ones put in there, and I do about 20 an hour. So, you know, if I do this an hour a day for 5 days a week, obviously that's what, 100 leads. If you do that, you know, if you average that throughout a month, you're putting about 400 in a month. I, I haven't even been doing it all that long, and I'm telling you, it's working. I'm very happy. So I send out these postcards through Deal Machine. You can also skip trace right there on the spot. You could call the numbers from your car. You could skip trace right there on the spot for 20 cents. So I don't do that. I actually have a partner that has a dialer, and I say, hey, you call the numbers in your dialer. If you get me, we'll split it up. We'll work the deal together. But the mailers that I send out, when I get calls off the mailers, that deal is 100% mine. And that's my marketing strategy right now. But I also, my deals, man, they just come from, I have so many leads in my whatever, CRM and the queue, whatever you want to call it, from all these years of marketing and networking and partnering with people. I just have my hand on all these leads. So when I'm running dry, I just get in my computer and look at who have I not called in the last 6 months. I can do that for one day and get a deal. I mean, so that's not something that I used to be able to do when I first started because I didn't have that pipeline built up. One thing I want like people who are just starting wholesaling to understand is like the more leads you can get in your pipeline, the more business you're going to be able to do in the future. First of all, do what's best for you and most comfortable for you, and use your intuition and know your personality. But do not shy away from something because it doesn't look like a deal right then. If you've got time, go on the appointment. It's great practice for talking to people. And I'm telling you, these deals that look like horrible time wasters, I have made money off of them down the road. So if you've got the time, I highly encourage you to drill down on any lead you can get and make sure you keep a record of the leads so that you can follow up in the future. If I would have, first of all, I'm just sort of detail oriented. I just sort of I came from the government. Bureaucracy was my job, keeping records. So I just had that kind of going on. And thank goodness I did because I can really dig into that now. So I kind of encourage anyone who's trying to drum up leads, or for those of you who have been marketing for other purposes like rehabbing, or you're buying hold portfolio, if you want to give wholesaling a shot, or you want to refer out your leads to wholesalers for a referral fee, dig into those because they can really be money makers down the road. And David, he has the best questions, of course, because he is one of the ultimate, most successful investors that I know here in the St. Louis area. I think it's so cool that he's on this. David says, how do you keep track of all these old leads? Just using Excel or paid CRM? Do you keep notes on the person that you talked to already? I love it. I personally use Podio. There's a lot of great CRMs out there. You can use, I kind of have a partnership with a company that I had started. It's not exclusive or anything, but they got me into Podio for their system. And that's where I learned Podio. And I believe they have a paid system and they've got all the bells and whistles. And then when I wanted to start keeping track of all of my own personal leads, I set up my own company's Podio account because I was just so used to the system. And I have a free account. The downsides to the free account is you can't have, like, if you want to build out a team and give a bunch of people access to all of your stuff, I think you have to switch to a paid account. But if you're just getting started and you need a nice, clean, easy way to keep track of your leads, check out Podio. You can use it for free. And yes, so what I do, if I'm on the phone with a seller lead or whatever, or if I'm following up, I absolutely make notes on all those phone calls. It's not hard. I just do it as I talk. I just type. It's not perfect English or anything like that. And I absolutely make a note in Podio because the thing is, in 6 months, I will not remember it. I'll remember the minute I read it, but I won't remember without reading it. So too easy. I don't know, maybe it's because of what I used to do for a living, but get used to typing while you talk. Or, sometimes I think, I don't ever answer the phone in my car because I can't type while I talk. And then people are going to tell me something and it's happened a billion times. I don't remember to do it or whatever. And so, so what I was going to say is there must be a way, and I'm sure all the young kids do it all the time, but there must be a way to record on your phone, easily, right away. I've thought so many times, I got to figure out how to record on my phone so I can just listen to this phone call when I get home. But just keep your notes, make sure you keep them in one place. Podio's clean. It doesn't have to be complicated. you can make the bells and whistles if you want, but unless you put them to work, that's not going to get you paid. Okay. Yeah, phone numbers, names, address, conversation notes, that'll get you paid, and that's pretty quick and easy. Oh, pictures. And you can do all that with Podio. Yeah, and Podio is spelled correctly, Grace, if that's what you're asking, Podio. Yep, Reginald, name of CRM is Podio, Podio. Yeah, and then, oh, okay, David, I think is talking about how I can record. He says a Google number, and then hit 4 and it records. Cool. Voice memo. Okay. I know, guys. You guys are awesome. I'll have to play with. It can't be hard, right? It's 2021, for crying out loud. Like, I just have to do it. Yeah. Thank you. Voice memo really is good to record stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. And the point just is just to keep track of your conversations. And there's so many things, like, and as you. I know so many people on here have so much experience, so I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but for the new folks who are sort of just getting into all of this, but you'll just learn so quick about the little things people say that is such a lead-in to something else. And it's not a gotcha thing. You're not tricky. People want to be heard, and people also put up walls, okay, at the same time. So people will, I kind of imagine, like, they'll build a wall and they'll be like, don't climb this wall. And then they'll, like, wait and see if you climb the wall. Like, do you want to understand my problem or not? So, I just listen for things that people say, and I write that stuff down, and because it'll lead to motivation. Maybe somebody's sick. I mean, it's sad, guys, but it's just the way it is, or one of my things is, like, I'll call on a particular house and I'll find out this person has a lot of houses. And they'll also mention to me that they're tired and I'm 65, ha ha ha. I'm like, man, this person's gonna be ready to sell this portfolio in the next few years. I'm not like trying to, I don't know, I'm not an ambulance chaser, but I'm like, this is just true. So, like, I'll make a note, like, call in a year, how's the portfolio looking, or whatever. Like, there's just all these little things that you can hear people say, and I feel like they say it for a reason. So I just love, that's the kind of stuff I just love doing, is, like, just listening to people, letting them feel heard, and then be like, well, I don't know if it's a match, but here's what I can do for you. You guys are great. Keep the questions coming. John, I can't believe it's 7:42. John, what else can we do here? How am I?
You've touched on so many good points there, Laura. I mean, this is, you've condensed it. You've done such a good job, and it is coming from the heart, because what you're telling us here is to pick up on the little things and do the little things that others don't. And one of the things that makes you stand out so much different than a lot of people, because you are willing to do some of the things that other people won't, but you also cash some of the checks they probably don't. So I mean, it's the little things, and you made that very important. At least that's what I've been taking lots of notes, which I love it, because no takers are money makers. I learned that, and I'm not near as good as you, because you come from the government. My notes are all sketchy and just handwritten all the time. I could never even type while I'm on the phone on my computer. So, but the wholesaling, you've in one of the points that you made that I think is so important, wholesaling is more than just making an assignment check of $5,000 or $10,000. It's actually getting in there, solving the problems, and looking for it. Everywhere you go, we have these problems. Everybody is in the real estate business at all given times, whether you're renting the place or you're living in your mom's basement and going to Starbucks. You're still in the real estate business somehow. And as you know, when people put out a sign, or if you see the grass needs to be cut or something like that, all they're doing is putting out a help wanted sign for you. And they will tell you that if you pick up on the little things. So I can't say how much I appreciate you really going into that portion of it, because wholesaling is so much more, and you remain a wholesaler. Okay. Even if you're doing subjects too, or you do your rehabbing, or, short sales, there's so many different avenues we can go down, and they're all good, but you always remain a wholesaler. Always keep that in mind. And I don't care if you're new or if you've been around in a long time, like, a couple of us maybe have. It's always something. As long as you make it a win-win-win deal, you're going to be fine. And I appreciate that very much, Laura.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It's just, I've always wanted to make a lot of money, and by no means do I make like that much, okay? But I know I'm going to keep doing well, and I'm going to get better and better, so that's exciting. But
Mhm.
what I'm getting at is this: like, I've never wanted to make good money by taking advantage of people, right? Like that's not fun,
Mhm.
right? That's not. It doesn't light you up, right? I mean, the check is great to cash, but like if you didn't feel like you truly added value, like it's not sustainable and you won't enjoy it.
Mhm.
So that so many times it's true, especially like learning. I mean, I don't have to do it that much anymore, but I have taken some little checks. Or I don't think I've ever done anything for free, but I probably did at some point. I don't know. Like that's not my point isn't that you need to or you should, but my point is like, just what you can get out of the relationship of helping someone. Like it's not always like you set yourself up to make very little, but sometimes things just go south, right? But you've got this problem solving started. As the wholesaler, involved, I usually see the whole picture and I see the end game. Like I'm not going to hold it up. I'm just not. I don't know. And then the thing is, you just build strong relationships. People come back to you to do business again. So you get, if you didn't get the deal done, they probably won't call you back up. But, John, we've done multiple deals together. And if I would have just on that first one, just given up, thrown my hands up in the air, you'd probably find someone else. And instead, he calls me and I appreciate that. And so, and that'll just builds up into bigger and better things. And then you can get to the point where, you put a price tag on your time and it's worth more than it was last year, and you refer stuff to other people or whatever, so but if you're new to this, or if you're just trying to get more extensive experiences in your real estate business, maybe you're a buy and hold person who's not buying right now because you can't evict anybody, so like why add to the portfolio? Or the market's real strong and it's hard to find a good deal. Like this is what you do, well, maybe you'd want to dive into some of this and, see what you can find. Just, money can't be number one. The more value you bring, the more problems you solve, the more money you'll make anyway. Mm-hmm. But if money is at the top of the list of importance, it'll stifle you, I think. Mm-hmm. So last year, last time I was on one of these, I really talked about how 2020 was my best year in business, and it started off I was dead in the water, like completely had nothing going on. I mean, I think I made $2,000 in January or something. My mother-in-law was really sick. I'd been spending tons of time with family, and I wouldn't change a thing. And but man, I had to pay my bills. I had to keep doing my stuff. And she passed away early March. We had the funeral. And then I was just hitting it so hard. I just like, I gotta get my business going again. I gotta. And literally like the next week was like shut down for COVID. And I remember like part of me was elated because I know myself, I'm really good in challenging times. Like when I was in the Army, I would stress out more over paperwork than if a bullet would fly by. I don't know why. So the more scary it gets, the more calmer I am. So that kind of came over me, this calmness. And then like, number two, I'm just like, every challenge is an opportunity. The more challenging it is, the more opportunity there is. And I'm telling you, I was like, this is the chance to help people. People are freaked out. People are just straight up freaked out. And real estate people are freaked out. This was the very beginning, guys. I'm like, people aren't running around looking at houses right now. Nobody knows what to think or what to do. I'm like, let me just add value in as many ways as I possibly can. I might make money, I might make zero, but I've already been making close to zero. And it's a pandemic. Like, I can only do what I can do. And I just went for it. And all I cared about was adding value to people. I didn't really care about the check. I just cared about, I knew that if the pandemic and my family situation and the fact that my business had no momentum, if all of that was going to come around and take me down, at least I gave it my all. Mm. And I'm telling you, man, I had the best year ever. It was amazing. So, this year, strangely, it just started off similar. It wasn't the same issues, but I took the last 2 weeks of December kind of off to just rest and recharge, and I wrapped up some deals from the year. And then in January, I had a couple health things, and I just felt like crapola, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. I can take a week off, which turned into sort of like a month. I mean, I did what I had to do, and then in February, that cold hit, and I'm not using any of this as an excuse. I'm just saying. And then I'm like, oh shit. In the same situation I was in last year, I'm not going to have an average or below average year after last year. I'm not going to do it. And so I started working again. I gotta get X amount of dollars. And then it hit me like, after a few days of stuff not coming together, I'm like, no, you're just thinking about the money again. I'm not taking advantage of anybody, but the money is what was on my mind. I'm like, no, just think about the problem solving. Just think about the problem solving, because that's what opens up the opportunity. So I had to relearn that again this year, strangely enough, not quite as drastically as last year, but if you feel stuck, stop thinking about yourself if you can. Stop thinking about what it takes to get yourself unstuck, and just think, what can I do to help someone else get unstuck? And it'll help propel you forward. That's what it's done for me. So, yeah.
Yes, great point.
Oh, Dwayne, thank you. Dwayne was so nice. He said, just thank you for sharing. All of it was great. I appreciate it. And I know we're going to be wrapping up. Carlos said, I've read different opinions regarding wholesaling and it being a method. Some states frown upon it. Got it. How does one avoid any How does one avoid any potential problem? So one of the states that has made wholesaling basically illegal is a state that I live in. I live in Edwardsville, Illinois. And in Edwardsville, I don't know, guys, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert. I don't even think people in the state of Illinois know what to do with this law. So I'm just going to preface this with saying I'm going to speak to it the best I can. But basically, in order to wholesale, you need to have a real estate broker's license. And last year I got my real estate broker's license. And David, I've been working on getting to you. You asked me a while ago how I can help people, and I didn't have an answer for you. And I think I got one last week, finally, honestly. But how do we wholesale in Illinois? It seems like, guys, the answer is you can wholesale one deal a year. If you got an LLC, do one in your LLC. If you got, your personal name, you can do one there. That's one way to look at it. If you want to do a lot in Illinois, a lot more, get your broker's license. Figure out what your managing broker will allow and not allow. Try to just find, and the reason I'm being vague is because I just don't have all the specific answers. I think I have an answer for me and my strategy. But yeah, just get licensed and disclose that you're licensed. And my understanding is that can allow you to wholesale. But like, let's talk about St. Louis and the state of Missouri. It's good, guys. Go out, wholesale, have contracts. You can't market someone else's property that you don't have a legal interest in. And I see experienced people doing this. I just don't get it. So if you don't have a contract to purchase that house, or if you don't have a joint venture agreement, or something that's a legal instrument to allow you to market that property, it's not yours. You can't. Okay. But if you do have a contract, then you've got a legal interest. So just, all of this is basic wholesaling information. It wouldn't even be a good use of time for me to go into detail in it here, because you can find it on the internet very, very easily. People have different opinions about wholesaling, and I think it's because they don't always understand it. And I think a lot of new to real estate people do start in wholesaling because the barrier to entry is very low. You don't have to have a lot of money. But with that comes lack of experience. And then with that can come bad experiences for buyers and sellers, and may give the whole sort of thing, a bad kind of reputation. But guys, this happens in other industries. This happens in car sales. This happens to real estate agents, okay? If you're the type of person that this is what you want to do, and you're going to do your best to do right by, everyone, perfection will not happen in any part of real estate investing, including wholesaling, including rehabbing, including buy and holds. Do not hold yourself to perfection. Just hold yourself to doing your very best. People will see who you are if you show it to them. So show people that you're transparent, you're here to help, you're not perfect, but you're going to do your best, and you're a problem solver, and they'll give you a chance. And not every deal of mine has ever worked out perfectly. I've had to back out of deals. I've had to tell people, I'm sorry. And because I went through those experiences and I learned from them, I almost never do that now. So I did have to go through some growing pains. I'm sure that, people may have described me as letting them down, but I have helped far, 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 far more people than I've ever let down. And that's because I stuck with it and I did not give up and I showed people who I was and I did my very best. And I know every single person who's interested in doing this could do that as well. Just don't try to say the perfect thing. Don't focus on that. Just focus on being you and trying to help. So.
Now, Laura, are you looking for any, if somebody has a deal, are you looking for somebody to maybe present that deal to you? Are you not looking for any deals right now? Because we do have a wide variety of people here on the call tonight. Some are new, some have been around for a while. So, and as we know, by being in the wholesale business, we're going to have deals that don't fit with our portfolio or our specialty. Do you want people to send properties to you or anything that they may come across, or is that something you don't want? We didn't really talk about that, but I want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, great question. So I'm not on here for that. Thank you, John, though. I mean, here's what I'm able to do. I'm able to help sellers and buyers. I'm really good at helping sellers because that's where the deal is. Sometimes buyers want me to find them particular things and that's time consuming. Sometimes I can do that though. But if you, for example, have a lead or deal, whether it's under contract or not, but you've got a strong motivated seller, who's got a lot of motivation, and if you're inexperienced and looking for help, if it's a well-vetted lead, I can jump in and help you. We can split the deal 50-50 and you'll learn along the way because I'll show you what I'm doing or you'll be involved or whatever. If you're more experienced and you've maybe got something that, again, doesn't fit your business strategy and you don't want to put the time into it, but you want to maybe pass them along to someone who can help, I'd be more than willing to help you with that lead as well. And I do pay referral fees. I mean, I don't break the bank on them, but I'd be happy to share part of what I make on the deal if that happens. So that's sort of the answer. I'm not, and this is no offense, guys, because number one, I'm not even the best person to do this, but I'm not looking for really like coaching opportunities, or I'm more than happy to like take phone calls and answer questions, but I'm not looking to develop relationships where I show someone from the ground up how to do the business. And it's not anything personal. It's just, I don't have enough time and it's not really where I'm spending my time. I just don't do that. And there are so many great people who do. So it's not my thing right now. And I don't think it will be. But like people still reach out to me and ask questions. So feel free to do it. You can find me on Facebook if you're looking to connect. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat, and I'll help with what I can, but just keep in mind, depending on the degree of hand holding, and I say that with love, because believe me, people held my hand, but depending on the degree of what you're asking for, I don't know how much I can help. But that, again, that's just me being transparent.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura, this is Jim Heiser. How are you?
Oh my God. Hey, Jim, I'm great.
I want to tell everybody, I remember when you first started and came to, I guess, the first Applebee's meeting. I may have met you and John, everybody else.
Okay.
How many years ago was that?
6 or 7. It would have been 7 by now. The St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association is the very first public outing I ever made for real estate. It was the very first place I ever went to meet other investors. So that was them.
Yes. And you didn't know a thing about real estate. You were green as could be. And I just want to tell everybody, this is a lady has made a very successful career with what she is. And someday she'll be on the national circuit. I see it.
Well, God, Jim, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. And I mean, I just got so much value out of the different clubs in the area, especially St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. So, yeah.
Well, you've done very well for yourself. You presented a great program, and we got to have you back. I mean, you speak from the heart, as you can tell, and that's what we need for people to realize that when they join a not-for-profit group like ourselves, and you need to become a board member sooner or later. We just offer free advice to help everybody out to do it correctly and successfully. Again, none of the board members get paid, and we're just here like John, just to offer people like you to everybody. So we do it correctly and ethically, with sellers and buyers, and you're proof of that. So I commend you, and fantastic job.
Thank you. And there's just so many people on this call, like John Lee, okay, Jim Heiser, David Randolph. I've met all these people at that particular real estate club. And like I see in the chat, I didn't even know Sandra Holtmeyer was on here. Like, she's got an amazing reputation. There are just so many amazing people in this business. And I just thank all of you guys for just doing what you do. We have you could imagine there's a lot of competition in this business, but I make so much money working with partners. I feel like I make more than I could ever lose. There's enough for everybody. So if you're not already involved in a great real estate club that you enjoy, just definitely find one, because it'll really help your business a lot. So
thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jim. Does anybody have any final thoughts? I do have something I want to give to you, but I want to hear, does anybody have any questions or anything? Okay. Somebody's got their thumb up. Who is that? Oh, okay. I guess it was just a thumb up, not a hand raise. I'm still, they keep changing things, and I don't know all the little symbols here. So we do have something that I did wanted to give you, since you that are here. Some of you guys were here live with me a couple of weeks ago. We did do a wholesaling quick start 101. It's it's from the ground on up, where it's for organic business. You don't have to buy anything else, but if you want to get into the wholesaling business, I will give you a private link that we have to the replay. This is something the course does sell on the website for $597, but anybody that's here right now, if you want to put your email address in the chat, or you can send me a separate one, I will go ahead and give you a link I'll send out, and we'll have that for about a week up there just for you that are here tonight. And some of you that are in some of my other groups, you have seen that, but and I got a couple extra things I'm going to send to you too. I've been putting together a couple of little things here. So if you'd like to do that, just stick your email address in there, or send me a private one if you have one, and I'll send you the private link, and happy to share that with you. And thank you, Laura. I don't know what else to say other than, wow, this is, you truly are from the heart, and that is so much appreciated, especially in this business. And I think you touched on it, where you can look at any industry and find some bad stuff, but you also have to look for the cream of the crop, and you're definitely in that particular area. And I just thank you so much for all the value that you add to us. Personally.
Thank you.
So
thank you. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. John had to twist my arm to get me to do this again, but I'm glad I did. So thank you.
All right. Well, we'll respect your time and let you get back to your workout, or I guess you're done with that, but we do appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule, because we know how much you are busy. So
thanks. Yeah, I'm moving straight into writing a contract after this. So
nice.
Then I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired. Okay. All right, guys.
Thanks again, everybody. Again, put your email address in there if you want some of the gifts, and I'll leave it on for a few more minutes.